on guys, welcome to my first ever Clash Royale video, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys replays on how I got the top 200 with my favorite deck in the game, Splashyard. Alright, so we're going to hop into some replays, and the first game I'm going to show you is going to be against a similar graveyard deck, but he has Mega Minion and Fireball. Some good starting plays with this deck are cycling a Barb Barrel or putting a Bomber in the back. Ideally, you can wait until double Elixir to make your first move, since this is a rather heavy deck, but sometimes you just want to play a card, and those are the two cards you can play. Additionally, this is a very reactive deck, so you want to see what your opponent's going to do first and then make a play based on what they do. Recognizing that this is a similar mirror matchup, I decided to go in really aggressive because in this matchup you're allowed to go aggressive. Unfortunately, the 1 HP Brawler managed to get by and sneak some 3 hits on our tower. Not the greatest graveyard by him in my opinion, since I could just play a Baby Dragon and get a nice counter push with it. So I think with the surviving Baby Dragon, I'm going to go with a Knight at the bridge to force out some Elixir. He's going to need to go Cage and Mega Minion on top of my Baby Dragon. So here, I have my Tornado selected because I want to go in for the King Tower activation. He's going to play a Valk in front, so I'm going to play a Goblin Cage, and I have my Nado selected to try and get the Valkyrie to the King Tower. So it pulls, and we get the King Tower activation just barely. The King Tower activation against Graveyard is very crucial because if you get it, it means the King Tower as well as your Princess Tower will help out against the skeletons. So heading into double Elixir, we're already looking really good in this game because we have the damage advantage as well as King Tower. Yeah. In the future, I'll be doing like live ladder games. I just figured that, for the first video, I'll just do some replays. He's gonna go with the Tornado, and it's not going to kill my Baby Dragon, which is really bad for him. I'm gonna play my Goblin Cage in that position so that it pulls his Baby Dragon if he plays it at the bridge. As you can see, the King Tower is really helping out with the graveyard, and there's literally nothing he could do. It's important not to get too eager with the graveyards because you don't want to be super aggressive where you're really low on Elixir and you can't defend. I'm gonna go with the Goblin Cage here to soak up the Mega Minion hit so I have a surviving Baby Dragon. Or a full health Baby Dragon, rather. I'm gonna go with a Nado to pull this all back momentarily. There we go. Gonna go with a Knight to pull the Valkyrie back, then gonna go in with the Graveyard. He misplays the Nado, really nothing he could do. It's most likely GG's here. Baby Dragon splashes, Poison will do it, adding with the Nado to finish it faster, and that's first dub. Okay, so for the second game, we're gonna be versus a Graveyard Freeze deck. So traditionally, I would think that I would counter Graveyard Freeze since I have the poison, and he doesn't have a poison for my graveyard. But his Witches, Goblin Huts, and Archer Queen are all poison bait, and it's very hard to get by them on offense when you know you have to save the poison for the graveyards. He's just gonna go with a Barb Barrel to start off, and I'm gonna go in with a Knight to counter it. Just gonna cycle a Baby Dragon in the back, see what he has. He's gonna want to be playing this match slow until I'm 100% sure on what he's playing. Just gonna go with the Goblin Cage and then Barbaro off the Spear Goblins. He's gonna play his Archer Queen. I was thinking about poisoning it, but I knew that might have been the wrong move because I didn't know what he had. And I'm really glad I held off on it because he goes in for a Graveyard where I have my poison. Going for a Knight. Unfortunately, he uses the ability. I'm just gonna NATO it off and then play a Bomber to splash the Archer Queen as well as kill off the Barbarian and the Spear Goblins. So it was a really nice, valuable Bomber, and yeah, really good defense. Gonna go with the Barbaro, the Force Out Elixir, which he has to spend arrows on. So we're down like 1 elixir, but not so bad considering we just made him spend elixir for our Barbaro. Gonna go in opposite lane for a Baby Dragon Graveyard because I know his cycle is pretty whack and I really didn't have anything for the Goblin Hut, so I needed to do something. He's gonna have to go for a freeze on top to kill my skeletons, which is super good because that means we have a little bit of an elixir advantage. Gonna go with a cage kinda high so that it pulls the Spear Goblins as well as makes the Valk go over to it. So as you can see, the Valks go over and the Spear Goblins being targeted by my Princess Tower. Gonna go in for a Knight in the back. He's gonna go in for a Witch. I'm gonna go with a really clever NATO to get 2 additional hits on his tower. Gonna go in for a Knight to pull the Archer Queen as well as help out on the Barbaro and Witch. Gonna go in for a Graveyard, and I think I'm gonna NATO away the Witch so that the skeletons die as well as my Baby Dragon and Bomber can help splash it. Really good NATO, there's nothing he could do. GG, well played, good game. Just said that twice. Alright, heading into game number 3, we're going to be against Electro Giants. So each giant can be a very difficult card to go against, but luckily this deck doesn't have the Mother Witch, which is a really hard counter to Graveyard. Luckily he doesn't have that, so this is winnable. We're going to start off by cycling a Bomber in the back, and he's going to do the same. Just going to play a Baby Dragon. So he's going to play a Goblin Cage, and I'm like, is this a mirror matchup? I'm going to go in for really aggressive, because that's what I thought. And then once I see the Dark Prince, I know this is probably going to be Electro Giant. And then once he plays the Inferno Dragon, he gives it away. I'm not happy about it, because I think this is the Mother Witch version, and I don't realize he doesn't have it. Going to go with a Knight. He's going to try to NATO it away, but it's not going to work. I'm just going to ignore the Inferno Dragon. It's going to get like about 300 damage. And I know I'm up a pretty good amount of elixir, but I know his Inferno Dragon was out of cycle, so I try to be really aggressive because his Inferno Dragon is like the only way of killing my Baby Dragon. Unfortunately, he blocked with an Electro Giant, but that's a clean defense and a little bit of damage on his tower as well. Gonna go with a Knight. Gonna go with a Barbaro to support this Brawler just to make sure he can't activate King with my Brawler. He's gonna have to NATO back. Not the best NATO, but it's really the only thing he had. So already almost heading into double elixir, we're in a great spot in this game. And yeah, looking good so far. Gonna go with a Knight to pull back this Inferno Dragon, as well as apply some pressure. He's gonna have to respond most likely with a Dark Prince. There's a Dark Prince. We're gonna go with a Bomber. Kind of misplayed Bomber. Unfortunately, the Dark Prince gets 2 hits. Gonna go with a Goblin Cage like that to pull the Electro Giant. Poisoning to kill the Inferno Dragon. Going in with a Knight to DPS down the Electro Giant. Gonna go with a NATO and Barbaro. and that should be no damage from the Electro Giant. I think we go in for a graveyard here, and we might poison. We do poison. And yeah, there's really nothing he could do at this point, and that's a GG well played. Really nice win against Electro Giant. It could be tricky to defend some pushes, but in the end we managed to do it and came out with the victory. Okay, heading into the last game of the video, we are going to be against Recruits Hawks. The important thing to do in this matchup is not give them spell value, because if they get way too much spell value, it could really be devastating, and you want to space out your cards, so like your Bomber on one side, and then your Baby Dragon, then NATO it, so that they don't know it's a Fireball. Just gonna play a Baby Dragon in the back to activate the King Tower. King Tower activation versus Royal Hogs is super good because it helps. Alright, gonna do that. Gonna go in for a poison too to kill off the recruits, as well as damage the brawler. He really has no way of punishing us right now, because even if he goes in for hogs, I have my Cage and Bomber. I went in for a Barbaro instead, and I think I go for a late Bomber, just so that I mitigate as much damage as possible. He already gives us a good game, which I do have a really good matchup against this deck, so yeah. He's gonna play Zappies in the back. I know he's trying to bait out a poison, so I'm not gonna do it. Just gonna play a Baby Dragon in the back. He's going to play his Flying Machine in a position where I can NATO it all together for my Baby Dragon, and I also Barbaro to finish off the Zappies quicker. I don't agree with those Royal Hogs since I could just Cage and Bomber, and he still has to respond to my Baby Dragon. So I know he has to defend all that, so I go with a Knight in the left lane to try to force something. Not the greatest Knight, it's just going to give him value with his cards, but I was hoping it would force out something. We get a little bit of damage in the left, and then we push the right side. We get a little bit of damage with the skeletons. I decide to poison off the Flying Machine because I know he's going to play Hogs into them, most likely. Unfortunately, the Zappies are connecting on our right tower, but I have a Knight to go pick them up. I'm just going to poison off the recruits, most likely. There's the poison. And I'm going to NATO that in to kill the Flying Machine. He has to respond to the Bomber or else it's going to get a hit on his tower. And he's going to go really aggressive in the left with Zappies at the bridge. Just going to go with the Bomber. As you can see, Bomber does absolute work in this matchup. You really have to utilize the Bomber to its full capability because it could just slay. And he misses the Fireball on my Bomber. So at this point it's not looking very good for him. And just going to poison. And I know I just gotta play this slow, no need to be super aggressive. I have the damage advantage, and as the game goes on, it just gets better for me. Gonna Barbaro the Zappies. We are gonna kill one of them. No, I lied. We killed none of them, but we damaged them far enough where I could just NATO it all together. And then go in for a Bomber. And everything is dead. He goes with a sneaky Flying Machine, but I do pick it up with a Knight just in time. He's not happy. Graveyard on his tower. He's in a really whack cycle. He has to play Zappies. I could poison. And yeah, I have Cage back in hand, as well as Bomber. think I barbell it as well, just to mitigate as much damage as possible. Make that all damage. Gonna go with a knight. I'm anticipating he blocks this, which he does. So I'm not gonna go in for a graveyard, just gonna make him spend elixir. Gonna go in for a goblin cage, a bomber. My bomber actually comes back to help out on the pigs, which was really good. I'm gonna protect my bomber with a knight. Go in for a baby dragon, not a graveyard, right? There's the graveyard. And I'm just gonna poison, I think NATO in the flying machine, then poison? No poison. Yeah, we pretty much already won this. We don't even need the poison for the damage. Kind of misplayed that goblin cage. Well, my finger kind of slipped, but doesn't matter. We won the game pretty easily, and that's a GG, well played. So he managed to climb all the way up to 112th in the world. That's also 11th in the US. So really, thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned something new, and I'll be uploading again shortly.